Clocks are instruments that measure and show the time. For millennia, humans have been measuring time in various ways. Some include tracking the movements of the sun with sundials, the use of water clocks, candle clocks, and hourglasses. Our modern-day system of using a base 60-time system, that is a 60-minute and 60-second increment clock, dates back to 2000 BC from ancient Sumeria. The English word clock replaced the Old English word 𝗕𝗏𝗏, meaning day measure. The word clock comes from the French word cloche, meaning bell, which enters the language around the 14th century, around the time when clocks started hitting the mainstream.
Clocks are a breakthrough in the field of science and engineering. They've evolved and their design has been adapted to incorporate new inventions too. Today you can even find clocks that tell time through light and sound signals. Clocks have been a part of human society for centuries. They are important because they tell us the time and serve as a symbol of where we are with other places on Earth.
The first mechanical clocks were invented in Europe around the start of the 14th century and were the standard timekeeping device until the pendulum clock was invented in 1656. There were many components that came together over time to give us the modern-day timekeeping pieces of today. Take a look at the evolution of those components and the cultures that helped develop them.
Ancient Egyptian obelisks constructed about 3,500 before Christ are also among the earliest shadow clocks. The oldest known sundial is from Egypt. It dates back around 1,500 before Christ. Sundials have their origin in shadow clocks, which were the first devices used for measuring the parts of a day.
Greek water clocks. An early prototype of the alarm clock was invented by the Greeks around 250 before Christ. The Greeks built a water clock called a 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏, where the rising waters would both keep time and eventually hit a mechanical bird that triggered an alarming whistle. 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏s were more useful than sundials. They could be used indoors, during the night, and also when the sky was cloudy, although they were not as accurate. Greek water clocks became more accurate around 325 before Christ, and they were adapted to have a face with an hour hand, making their reading of the clock more precise and convenient.
The earliest mention of candle clocks comes from a Chinese poem written in 520 AD. According to the poem, the graduated candle with a measured rate of burn was a means of determining the time at night. Similar candles were used in Japan until the early 20th century.
Hourglasses were the first dependable, reusable, reasonably accurate, and easily constructed time measurement devices. From the 15th century onwards, hourglasses were used primarily to tell time while at sea. An hourglass comprises two glass bulbs connected vertically by a narrow neck that allows a regulated trickle of material, usually sand, from the upper bulb to the lower one. Hourglasses are still in use today. They also were adopted for use in churches, industry, and in cooking.
Church life and specifically monks calling others to prayer made timekeeping devices a necessity in daily life. The earliest medieval European clockmakers were Christian monks. The first recorded clock was built by the future Pope Sylvester II around the year 996. Much more sophisticated clocks and church clock towers were built by later monks. Peter Lightfoot, a 14th century monk of Glastonbury, built one of the oldest clocks still in existence and continues to be in use at London's Science Museum.
In 1504, the first portable timepiece was invented in Nuremberg, Germany by Peter Henlein. It was not very accurate. The first reported person to actually wear a watch on the wrist was the French mathematician and philosopher Blaise Pascal. With a piece of string, he attached his pocket watch to his wrist. Wristwatches were first worn by military men towards the end of the 19th century, when the importance of synchronizing maneuvers during war without potentially revealing the plan to the enemy through signaling was increasingly recognized. It was clear that using pocket watches while in the heat of battle or while mounted on a horse was impractical, so officers began to strap the watches to their wrists.
In 1577, Joseph Bergy invented the minute hand. Bergy's invention was part of a clock made for Tycho Brahe, an astronomer who needed an accurate clock for stargazing.
In 1656, the pendulum clock was invented by Christian Huygens, making clocks more accurate. A pendulum clock is a clock that uses a pendulum, a swinging weight, as its timekeeping element. The advantage of pendulum for timekeeping is that it is an approximate harmonic oscillator. It swings back and forth in a precise time interval dependent on its length and resists swinging at the other rates.
The first mechanical alarm clock was invented by American Levi Hutchins of Concord, New Hampshire in 1787. However, the ringing bell alarm on his clock could ring only at 4 a.m. In 1876, a mechanical wind-up alarm clock that could be set for any time was patented number 183,725 by Seth E. Thomas. Sir Sanford Fleming invented standard time in 1878. Standard time is the synchronization of clocks within a geographical area to a single time standard. It developed out of a need to aid weather forecasting and train travel. In the 20th century, the geographical areas were evenly spaced into time zones.
Quartz clock. In 1927, Canadian-born Warren Morrison, a telecommunications engineer, was searching for reliable frequency standards at Bell Telephone Laboratories. He developed the first quartz clock, a highly accurate clock based on the regular vibrations of a quartz crystal in an electrical circuit.
In 1908, the West Clock Company has issued a patent for the Big Ben alarm clock in London. The outstanding feature on this clock is the bell back, which completely envelopes the inner case back and is an integral part of the case. The bell back provides a loud alarm.
The Warren Clock Company was formed in 1912 and produced a new type of clock run by batteries. Prior to that, clocks were either wound or run by weights.